Welcome to the NFL Week 6, guys. I'm going to try and make this a shorter video because I was getting towards the end and I ran out of storage and I have to start over again. This is going to be the theme of this year is I got to get a new phone, essentially, is what I'm getting at here. Week 5 was the first disappointing week of the season, but I'm not going to talk about that. I recapped it on my Patreon and I recapped it in my first video and I'm not going through it again. It's done. We're looking at Week 6 now. So I'm going to go through the games top to bottom. I put up 5 breakdowns of my games this week on the Patreon, and I also included where I rate them. So essentially 1 to 5%. So for those that are not familiar, 4 or 5% plays are your strongest bets, 3% are pretty much your standard bets, and 1 or 2% are your lesser, more leans. And that percentage is essentially of your bankroll, right? So if you have $100 in your bankroll, 5% play is a $5 bet essentially. So I did rate because not every bet is going to be is not going to be the same. So the games that are my strong bets, I'm going to leave that for my clients. Because I put 5 plays up for I have a couple there where they weren't strong plays, so I will talk about it here. So let's get started off. The London game, Baltimore at Tennessee. This is a lesser play for me, 2% play. I don't like betting London games. I don't like betting Tennessee games. I haven't watched any Baltimore games this year. I'm going to be honest with you. So my lean is to Tennessee at plus 4.5. I got them at plus 5.5, but they're around 4.5 to 5.5. Simple. Vrabel does well when he's getting points. Tennessee does well as a dog, but Tennessee does not travel well. This isn't really a true home game, obviously. So that worries me. I don't know if it's a great matchup against Baltimore, but I will say Baltimore's on their 3rd straight road game, 4th road game in 5 games. I think they must be a little bit fatigued. They did get to London early. Tennessee, these idiots didn't show up till Friday, late to the party, so they're not going to be as adjusted to the time zone as Baltimore. But I mean, Tennessee's defense, the way to attack them is through the air. Lamar really hasn't been throwing the ball downfield too much. This is going to be a close game. I feel like this is going to be a field goal game either way. I don't really care to watch the Tennessee Titans at 9:30 in the morning on a Sunday. But that's my lean is to the Titans. Indy and Jacksonville. Indy's about a 4-point dog. I think this is the trap game of the week. I bet Indy against Jacksonville way back in week 1 when it was in Indy, and this line was pretty much the same. It's kind of trappy to me that all these weeks later, Jacksonville coming off a 2-game winning streak, Indy really hasn't looked impressive this season. And the backup quarterback's playing. Richardson's off. He's off for 4 weeks. And this line's pretty much the same. I think they're baiting people to take Jacksonville. Jacksonville, what worries me, of course, is that they've owned Indianapolis. I don't know when the last time the Colts won in Jacksonville. Jacksonville has owned Indy in northern Florida. That's a little worrisome. But I think the line's a little trappy. Minshew's playing against his former team. I think the Colts, this could be a trappy game. I wouldn't be surprised if the Colts won the game. That's all I got to say about that game. I really don't want to bet. I don't really bet Jacksonville games. Even though I loved them last week against Buffalo, I still didn't bet them because I'm sworn off Jacksonville. But that's my thought on that game. Carolina, Miami. I said it last week. If you're playing, I'm laying. With Miami last week against the Giants, they're a similar 13.5 to 14-point favorite. I would do the same thing this week. I want no part of Carolina. I want no part of New England this week. I want no part of Vegas this week. So stay away from those games. I want no part of Chicago. I want no part of Minnesota. Stay away from those games. New Orleans and Houston. This was a play I had as well for my Patreon. So the first one was Tennessee, then this one. Slight lean, so I'll talk about it. New Orleans is a 1.5-point favorite. I just like the Saints. I don't know why I keep going back to the Saints every week, but I think, and I talked about it on the Patreon, I think Olave, Thomas, Kamara, and Derek Carr, as the season goes on, I think these guys get better as the season goes on, assuming they can stay healthy, get more reps. I think they'll be all right. Now, CJ Stroud and Houston, they've played against some really good defenses this season. So it's not like Houston has not been tested. They probably had a harder schedule this year than New Orleans. New Orleans has played Green Bay. They played New England. They played Tampa Bay. They haven't played great teams, but they are struggling a little bit. There's a reason why I think they're a road favorite here. I just lean towards New Orleans. I think they have a really good defense. I think as long as the offense can start clicking, I think they're a better team than people think. Seattle and Cincinnati. Cincinnati's a 3-point favorite. This is a stronger play. So it's for my clients. Sign up to the Patreon to get my opinion on that game. San Francisco and Cleveland. San Fran's a 9.5-point favorite. Interesting game, but Deshaun Watson's out. So I don't know how you really bet the side in this game. The total, I think, is pretty low, like 37, something like that. But this is probably the best defense San Fran is playing this season. But San Fran scored 30 in every week. I feel like they could score 30 on their own again. And so if Cleveland can just muster 14 points, I think you're probably going to have to sweat it out, but I think the over is really the only way you can bet this game. Washington and Atlanta, who cares? Again, I don't really bet totals or player props during the season, more so in the playoffs. But, Washington's quarterback, I forget his name. I don't know. He's not Mr. Irrelevant, but he's pretty irrelevant. His passing yards, I think, are about 241, 242 yards for the game. Just bet the under. I don't think he gets over. Atlanta has a pretty good pass defense. Bet the under. Arizona and the Rams, probably my favorite play of the week. Rams are about a 6.5, 7-point favorite, 5.5-point favorite, 6-point favorite, wherever you're looking. It's my 4% play. That's for the Patreons. Detroit, Tampa Bay. This one, I put as a client play, a weaker client play. So I had Tennessee, I had New Orleans, and not talking about the Seattle-Cincinnati game, not talking about the Rams and Cardinal game. And then this is the last game I had a 5-game breakdown on the Patreon. This is a lesser play, and the more I think about it, the more I hate this pick. So I don't even know if I want to talk about it here, but there's a lot of reasons to like Detroit. There's not many reasons to like Tampa Bay. And I think this will be the public sharp square divide of the week. I think you'll get all the public money in Detroit and probably some sharp money in Detroit because there's a lot of reasons to like them. And you're probably going to get a lot of sharp money on Tampa Bay. It depends on the line you get because it's 3 to 3.5. So you're going to know if the sharps get a 3, they'll take it. If they get a 3 in the hook, they'll take Tampa. And I think that's what you're going to see in this game. It's a tough game to handicap because, Detroit, they're eventually going to have a little bit of a letdown spot, but they're a freight train right now, and it's hard to bet against the Lions. I get it. But I'm not talking anything more about that game. That's for the Patreon. Philly and the Jets. Philly's about a 7-point favorite. This is just a teaser opportunity. I don't talk about teasers too often here, but essentially you want to cross the 3 key numbers of 3, 6, and 7. Take 6-point teasers. That's your positive EV. So Philly at a 7-point favorite, just take them down to -1. The Rams, take them down. That's the way you bet them. Or in the New Orleans-Houston game, an example there is New Orleans, 1.5-point favorite. If you like Houston, you can bet that game up, get it through 3, 6, and 7, and take Houston at +7.5. So that's my little thing about teasers. Don't cross 0. Don't cross 1 key number. Don't cross 2 key numbers. Cross the 3 key numbers at 3, 6, and 7. Either tease down, or if it's a touchdown, or if it's in that sweet spot of 1, 1.5, 2.5. Tease it up and take the dog. That's the way you do it. That's pretty much it, guys. Dallas and the Chargers on Monday Night Football. I don't know. Does anyone know Dallas does well? Dak does well against bad teams, and he shits the bed against good teams. And I said it last week. If Dallas did not win the game against San Francisco, they're going to get killed. And they got killed. So there you have it. Now they're a road favorite against a team coming off a bye in the Chargers. I don't trust Staley as a coach for the Chargers. I guess take the Chargers first half. I don't know. Take the Chargers first half because they'll probably blow it in the second half. I don't know how you trust the Cowboys, but anyways, that's just, I think that's the Monday night game, so I talk about that quick. But that's it. Like, subscribe, comment, guys. Join the Patreon. Link in the description. Let's get it for week 6.